Okay, we have a guest speaker today. This is Momo. They're a animation alumni from SCAD, and they'll be talking to us about environments and how they approach all of that little jazz stuff. They worked on Snubbed last year, and they're working on a very cool project called World's End as well. Yeah, if you want to continue, Momo.
Yay, okay, it's my turn. Hi guys, it's me. I'm Momo. I go by Momo. Much appreciated. And then yeah, here's my stuff. Thank you so much for having me for the concept art club meeting. You guys are amazing. I was like scrolling through the art channel. I'm like, ooh, I'm a little out of my depth because a lot of my portfolio and a majority of my portfolio and what I enjoy doing the most, even though it doesn't look like it. Because every time I talk to someone, they're like, "Are you StoryCon?" I'm like, "No, I animate," but all I do is post paintings. But I'm a 2D animation major with a sequel minor, so lots and lots and lots of drawing. I like to draw, and everything I like to draw takes 100,000 hours for like maybe 2 or 3 seconds of footage, or maybe 1 or 2 pages worth of work. So that's what you're getting into when you get into animation, but you guys are smart and are in concept art. Um, so that's really cool. Like instead of making the things, you like make the ideas, which I think is like really awesome because that's like the greatest foundation to any project, like how it looks. But here's some of my work just like in a collage. Projects that I worked on, Legend of PP, Time Flies, that was a SCAD Animation Studios project, which I think will be public January, hopefully. I was the animation lead on Snub, which was a lot of fun and took a lot of effort. I was an animator on Louie, like all these projects I did animation for, and then obviously my personal project World's End, which I am like so happy to be back to. The team that I have right now is amazing, and it's always really really fun to just make cool stuff with people that are also cool. Decent banter too. I don't know when that film's gonna be released, but that was those are like recent projects. There's so many things that like when you're at SCAD, you just gotta say you just gotta say yes to everything. I have like 1 or 2 or 3 shots for like every year that I've been here because it's the best way to do it and it's the best way to network. But I'm saying that as an animator. Anyways, let's get to our first thing that I wanted to ask you to do. We're gonna do a 2 minute study of this plant, this Ajera breta, which also is known as I think Mexican blue palm frond, but I was gonna set a timer, but I assume for the people at Adler and the people on this call, uh, you can set up one. Oh, you can see my cursor. I thought you couldn't. Doraemon. Hi. If you guys want to set a timer, I was gonna set one and like on my phone and then be like, okay, done. But I wanted to do a little plant study, and if you feel confident or you feel comfortable sharing it after the 2 minutes are over, I wanted to talk about approach. But I thought this was like the easiest and most direct way to talk about approach. So I'm gonna put, I'll do 2 minutes and 30 seconds because it's kind of unfair. I give you guys 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 30 seconds on my phone, and I'll say go, and then I'll cut it. But okay, three, two, one, start. Like put music or something. Sorry. You have 10 seconds remaining. Oh my god, I totally forgot. I'm supposed to remind you guys in the middle. On three, two, one, and your time is up. Okay, thank you everyone who participated in this kind of like super. One, I chose this plant specifically because it's dope. It's downright dope and freaking amazing. But two, I feel like very, very visually stimulating. There's a lot going on, a lot of overlap, a lot of contrast. I even chose a background that was super noisy, specifically to throw you off. And if you look at your study or if you want to share it, do you notice like if you were able to get the whole plant down? How did you do it? What approach did you do? Were you a silhouetted person? Did you focus on one part? Did you only focus on one part and move around, or did you catch what caught your eye about the values or where you started personally? I feel like being mindful. Oh, these are awesome. Thank you for those who participated and who are sharing. These are making me smile. Okay. And I cheated. I drew mine not with you guys because I had to put in the presentation, but I also did take 2.5 minutes. But here is mine. And sorry, I don't do digital studies very often, so this is like torture. But what do you notice? And what's it called? I'm not saying this to be like this is a right way or this is the wrong way, but this is something that I've incorporated within my workflow that what's it called? I find helps me or benefits me the most in my observational work, which I can then add to my own visual library and apply to like creative or like generative work from like my own mind and stuff like that. Like when you're drawing without reference, because sometimes when you're doing a crazy fantasy environment or conceptualizing for something that you maybe you just can't even find the reference for. Oh my god, these are also amazing. The ones in color. Oh my god, so cute. The ones with smiley faces. Love it. And what do you notice? What the heck are all of these? I love I feel like a YouTuber. I love putting red circles and red arrows. I should just I was thinking about it, like during the presentation I was gonna put a bunch of circles and arrows and stuff that didn't even matter and like make you guys think it did matter. But I'm like, what the heck are all of these? And I want to talk about the power of occlusions or drawing what isn't there and the ability to constitute negative space to contribute to your positive elements of your drawing and also and just like in environments in general. I feel like as someone who isn't an environment artist, I just enjoy drawing environments, especially organic ones. You cannot catch me any day of the week drawing buildings. I'm sorry. So if you came here for that, this is not the talk for you. But the power of occlusions, and this is just like some scans from my sketchbook because the majority of my work that I do, I start traditionally and then go over to digital. I feel much more confident there, and that's completely fine. Everyone's pipeline is different, and that's what I want to iterate a lot in this because I feel like I might say things that may come across as deliberate or definitive or absolute. That was very redundant, but like any one of those things that resonate with you. But this is just my workflow and how I tend to work because I cannot lie to you. I'd be the worst business dev concept artist in the world. I work so destructively and I do not use the medium of digital art like the best, but I think that treating things as like fine traditional art has really translated into helping me account for like very tedious menial things in organic environments. Awesome, these beautiful gestures, lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, and occlusions and areas of interest. I learned this from, I think it was by Michael Leonard. There's a book that I was reading growing up that just talked about drawing with pencil that I really liked, and I think excuse me, sorry, drink a little water. And I think what resonated with me most in that book was the portion on areas of interest. And it was only like 1 or 2 pages, but making note, like finding anchor points, which is something you guys probably all definitely learned in your figure drawing class. Um, I was on the animation track, so I don't know if there's like any observational stuff that they encouraged you to do before they standardized sketchbooks. Because a lot of my sketchbook work, at least observational, was before they standardized the sketchbooks, and you can just do whatever. But contact points are areas of interest, origins, like where an object starts and ends. Is there interest and intersections within the shape itself or like other objects? And breaking those components down makes things so much more digestible because, how should I say this? I know areas of interest are usually where like maybe three or four uh, points of intersections are, especially with like natural things. There are like mathematical rhymes or reasons, but when you're taking information down and also you're looking at much of it, your brain has a hard time, especially when like with an untrained eye for observation, accounting for all those things and where they go and where they belong. But if you can see here in my, oh wait, you can't see my cursor. You can see it for like 1 second. Well, anyways, wait, maybe if oh, there he goes. Yeah. Like in reality, all I drew was like a bunch. Like when you look at this palmed frond, in reality, I when you kind of look at it, the many parts making up the one, it's a bunch of like semicircles, half circles, and in doing so, I'm drawing three or four surfaces with one object, or three or four surfaces with one understanding of that object, like one perception of it. So like one semicircle equals like one frond, two fronds, three, like the underside of this one, the intersection of this one. It just builds intrigue. And then adding up all those things together, what's it called? In like hierarchy form. Like obviously, I think everyone gravitates towards different parts. I often start, like when you're drawing a person, like, do you start with the head? Do you start with the shoulders? Do you plant the feet? Do you plant with the hips? Environments and landscapes and layouts are characters as well. I'm going to talk about that later, but finding anchor points, because it really is hard to look at something. Here, let me. Yeah, this is like a tree that's like in my neighborhood, and I love it. And I was trying to, when I was putting this together, I knew I took a picture of it like for one of my classes when I like had just started it, and I had started with this triangle like right here, like this is the origin of this drawing, and I like built it out like all the way. But finding your greatest points of contact will help train you to one, value each individual object as its own, give it like the dimension, space, time that it has, and two, I think it just gives you like better concentration and better willpower to value the many as the whole. Because it is really easy to kind of like diminish those things. And again, this is like a completely stylistic choice. If you are working on, I don't know, like Bluey, they're not going to ask you to draw trees like this. I just like to do this and incorporate it in my workflow when I can. And also, like on my own personal project, I would like this attention to detail. So being able to break it down and explain it to other people, especially when you're leading a project, is super duper important. And making sure that these things that seem daunting are really not. But yeah, I think that was my kind of segment on observational work. Uh, oh yeah, and then just like do it a lot. There's like no, I don't know, there's no easy solution. There's no really one answer to building a library. Like a library is consisted of so many books, so many documents, text, images that you want to build that within yourself. So I think this sketchbook, I like literally, well, I had to finish it in 10 weeks, so of course it was on me all the time. But I don't think there was ever a moment where I was like waiting for the yellow bus after it skipped my stop at Turner, where I think this is straight up like, I think this is the fence at Turner, and there was like a palm tree growing out. I don't know if it's still there, but just do it a lot because the only way that you can build like a great internal library is by finding external sources, and that only just bolsters one, the believability in your work, the dimension in your work, the variety. Right now I'm working on like a subtropical film, and I'm from a subtropical place. I'm from Oahu, Hawaii, and that's just like where my love is right now. But like, if you tend to go more arboreal, do that. Like, there is so much in this natural world that enhances a fantastical one. Like, not everything. There's like nothing comes from nothing, and that was kind of just like my bit on observational work. I value it so much, and it can seem boring, but it really doesn't have to be if you do things that interest you. Obviously, do things that you find like tedious and boring, but it can be like a 60-40. It can be like a 70-30. It can be like 80-20-80. But yeah, observational stuff, and it was just like like I said, a good breadth of my work is traditional, so this is a lot of padding for what I'm coming up to next. And leading the eye. Speaking of, now that we're going to take our observational work and put it into deliberate and I was going to say composed compositions. It's a little redundant, but we are going to be talking about leading the eye with the environment. And these little excerpts are from recommendations I'm going to give later. But environments are character, and every chance that you can to see that in real life and apply it to your work is really important. The environment can be used to point, whether it would be with like perpendicular, parallel, or rounded lines, as well as like scale. Um, I went to a zoo a couple weeks ago and I was so blown away by this like big shrubbery. I asked my friends to like stand right underneath it. I was like, this is such a perfect framing tool. I want to draw this, like one, all like the itty bitty little leaves, but um, like the depth that it had and it just using it as a framing tool and I thought this was like perfect for this talk but yeah, being able to like develop an eye for framing, especially with the environment, because oh no, I think there's is stream issues, the max number of people in the stream. Should I chill out for a second?
Um, I don't know how to solve that. If anyone any of the other officers who have like setting stuff can look at it, that'd be great. Otherwise, if you're worried about it, we do have like we're recording, so you will be able to see the recording and everything.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you can stream the stream if you do like a pop out window and then stream that. That might help. Sorry, I'll leave if need be. Also, no bull. Hopefully, if it's kick anybody out.
Yeah, we can trade it.
Oh no. Let me put something entertaining on the stream.
Oh, okay. So people can like hear, but they can't see. Okay.
They can't see.
Oh, wow. There's 50 people. Yeah, that would make sense.
I'm just gonna have to stream my whole screen. Like the pop-out window doesn't work, but if something comes up, just ignore it. You know how it goes. Oh, wait, give me one sec.
A spinning pig bow.
Okay. Can people see? And can they hear? That's the important part.
Wait, what?
Oh, should I be talking?
Oh no. I think what did Javi say? Yeah, I don't see another stream.
Oh no. You might have hardware like acceleration turned on, so I think you gotta turn that off if it's blacking it out. It's okay, I have more spinning food. Do we want rainbow cake or pumpkin?
You'll get a pumpkin for the fall
Pumpkin?
vibes.
Yes. Okay, wait, there's someone who also voted for rainbow cake, so I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Apologies to the people who can't see. I think you might just have to watch the recording. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, poor thing. I'm sorry. But thank you for enduring the technical elements. Here, let me I'll shrink this to the side. For every technical difficulty, I'll add one spitting food. Hashtag hungry. Okay, well, I'm gonna, what's it called? Oh, is that another stream? So,
Oh, whoa, yeah, Allie.
does it work? Oh, dope. They say they can say
Yes, it
so.
does. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna go back to it. Yeah, but I'm framing character, lines of action, buttoning your environment. And sometimes, like, I feel like that can sometimes lead to, what's it called? An environment feeling inorganic or maybe like a little too ham-fisted. So I always try to like break up your silhouettes with organic shaping. Because if you just leave, like, this is obviously just like a thumbnail, but leaving these like as obtuse, like, um, edges and such can be. So there's like a static sound coming, but I was like, is that from my computer? Anyways, but it is easy to though get lost in the menial elements of an organic layout, and that's something that I used to struggle with a lot because I'm someone who's like super duper fond of detail and making things as maximalist as possible. That sometimes I'll like zoom out of my canvas and be like, what the H is even the point of all of this? But the many does become the one. So if you could focus on the one while also focusing on the many, like, it is most important that you remember what the purpose of an environment serves. At least in my field as an animator, like my layouts or like any background that I have to do, which isn't very often because I'm an animator. I just happen to like drawing backgrounds. Just always remember what purpose it serves. Like your layout will always serve a character or the narrative, or at least that's like I feel like that should be the intention if you're doing things. They should be harmonious with your storytelling or what you are going for. Like drawing a background is just as important as making the character move. Yeah, and like there's so many moods that can be done, whether a character feels isolated or alone, not even in just like the tone. If this picture was black and white, it'd probably still feel pretty melancholy or isolating, or like drawing the eye. I guess we said leading the eye, but leading it up or down. These were two examples of like very opposing camera angles, but like the environment does lead the eye. Wow. Okay, and choosing your subject relationship. Oh wait, sorry, I said that wrong. Your subject to camera relationship. Another example from the framed ink is I feel like the big, medium, small method is like super duper important, whether it's choosing what elements of your background are small, medium, and large, or what elements of your moving characters or your eye of intrigue are taking over. And that can be done with color relationships, but I guess I'm just going to talk about values for now. Whether like you want your sky, like what feelings you're going for, like a desolate field with a big sky and like a large middle-sized object definitely like gives across the feeling of like sorry, there's like a little fruit fly in my room. It keeps landing on my face. Oh my god, what was I gonna say? Yeah, just gives across a different feeling than where if the character were to be jumping towards the camera and the environment is only a framing element as to like dictate scale. Like there is like a hierarchy of scale in that image that would not come across if I didn't treat the background the way that I had. But yeah, I feel like that's very important, especially I think what steps a lot of projects apart, like professional versus like learning projects. Like when you're learning to do something, obviously you are still acquiring the skills to make yourself like appear professional, or like get to a professional level, or get to a level of someone that you admire professionally. I feel like what really sets those things apart is having deliberate control over your subject to camera relationship, because at least in animation, I think there is a huge emphasis on character. So a lot of the times, like sometimes, like not even in a critiqueful way, I'll like watch short films and count the amount of shots, like the shot ratios, just because I think it's good practice, like medium to extreme wide shots to like maybe close ups. And if the ratio, and also it depends, like if you're watching a drama, like you want a lot of extreme close ups. It's a drama, you want to see the character being dramatic. But in this concept class we're talking about, or concept club, we're talking about the environment and how it can frame the characters. You really, really, really want to develop your eye and your brain to think of the scale of the world in which like isn't directly what you're seeing, like what is objective to you, because it's very, very easy to draw objectively to you, and that's where research comes in, where of course when you draw a layout you want to draw like relative to your size, your relationship to that building, like how close would it be to you when you're thinking of a person talking, not like what a crane camera, like a craning shot would see of a person. But I know I'm just very, very passionate about that, because the variety of animation and the beauty of animation, or like any concept art in general, is that you can literally make anything. So why would you only make a short film that has like medium shots and stuff like that, or where the character is always like close to the camera? You can push an experiment, and I feel like that's like a really, really powerful element to storytelling. This is a shot by a layout artist on my team for World's End, and it looks beautiful. But one of my biggest critiques when I gave the draw overs was that the size relationship, or like the relationship with the character to the camera, was like completely equal. Like there was like small, medium, or there was like medium, large. There was like very little small. So these are like large. This is medium, 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 medium. Everything had like the same like amount of depth, the same relationship to the camera, and this person is like an amazing layout artist. They are like fantastic, but for the scale of the shot that we want, these are my notes. And whenever you're in doubt, I feel like this is like such a big help, especially with like training your eye. Like whatever you drew and you think it's big, take your drawing, shrink it, and like add around it. It's like the easiest way to like add depth to a drawing. So I like took their drawing, like cut it up, like change the perspective, added a ground plane, but like drastically, what is it called? I almost said variated. Drastically change the variety of shapes and relationships to the camera. Like now there is like a huge relationship difference between the camera and character, where even though like this character, the main character of the film, is super small, he runs towards the camera, which changes his relationship. But the background still has that depth and variety for you to understand, and like doesn't that feel like so much further and so much like wow, like this is great, and this like just enhanced the greatness of the thing, of the layout. So just doing that, like being more deliberate, you can plus so many shots with just like simply changing the variety of foreground, midground to background elements. And that's coming from a simpleton. Like I don't do I can't reiterate this enough, I don't do layouts, but I think even to an audience member there is like a difference. There is a difference of like quality. It's like a TV animation versus feature, or like when your favorite TV show gets like their season finale or their series finale, and like the environments are like 10 times as big. There's so much atmosphere. I feel like that's the difference between separating like student work to what's it called, professional work, or like bridging that gap between seeing yourself as a student versus seeing yourself as a professional. Dope. Okay, what's next? Atmosphere and depth. So segueing into that, these are like tiny ways to push those things. This is like kind of hamajang, it's like whatever, but this is just like an example I did for someone who's asking about like distance models and trees. But it's like this is like a super duper easy way. Like obviously, the further things get away from you, atmospheric distance, the amount of literally the amount of molecules in front of your eyes and what you're seeing is increasing the density of it. So whether it be through like color, clarity, or definition, or even direction, that's another thing with I feel like environments. It's really easy to put um, individual things in the same plane, which is so hard to account for, and that's why it takes practice and a lot of like observation. That like the Earth is like constantly rounding and changing and things like that. So being able to control the mass and the volume and the direction in which you're usually trees. I feel like trees are like an easy one to like really focus on, and like that really gets across the depth of a landscape, especially a really big one. Um, yeah, and these are just are some examples of like a lot of repetition, but using the repetition to show depth and stuff like that. And this is just like little doodles. What now? Okay, here's a layout. This taking all the things I just said. Here's a layout that I did for Snout. And this, I was the animation lead for that film, so I was not supposed to be doing backgrounds. I was just helping out where I could. And here's everything that's wrong with it, or everything that I don't like about it. um, the volcano values are too dark, and mind you, this is like the second to last layout of the film, and I feel like I was like, oh man, I could have done so much better if I was like given the time and the focus. But here's the things that at least that I feel like I don't agree with anymore, like being what, like a couple months out from working on that film and it being the only thing I think about all day every day and making deadlines. Inconsistent values in the middle ground and the background. I think like these values here are consistent with the ones in the front, which is like I feel a basic ground rule for like any type of painting is that your values in the furthest part of your painting should not match the ones in the front, lest it like flattens everything. These forms are too defined. I think I just was like zoomed in and like detailing every tree when I really didn't have to. Inconsistent scaling, like the trees are moving, and also I would say inconsistent values and stuff like that. Even though the trees are scaling like up and down, uh, I felt like their place and like their relationship, the detail relationship, was not consistent with how further away I was pushing them. As well as like the tree horizon line, I didn't draw this layout. I just painted it, and I had to like move some elements around because like I think at that time our screen direction was changing and all those kinds of things, so like I had to like move stuff around in this layout. So if I had like complete control, because I was trying to be as like respectful as possible. I really don't like changing people's like rough layout work, so I was trying to be as respectful as possible and not move things around. But if I had control of it, I think I would have like changed a couple things just so that like what the directors wanted versus what the team did or what we were doing would like match a little more. But I think in the pursuit of that, I left like too many inconsistent like eye lines and tree lines. Oh, am I echoing? Sorry.
You're good, I think.
Okay, dope. And yeah, and then I think my last note that I left for myself was the lack of Z space in, or the lack of dimension, which I feel is really huge as like a background painter, and especially when like dealing with plants, it's so easy to only draw what your eye sees or like what your brain thinks your eye is seeing rather than what your eye is actually seeing. When you see a plant or when you imagine a plant, you imagine like the shape of the leaf, and when you're drawing it, you're drawing every single part of it. But when a plant is coming towards you, or when something is coming toward, like when anything is coming towards you, like when you draw an arm in foreshortening, it feels so wrong because there's so much what's it called? It just feels wrong because there's so much that you are obfuscating from your eye and from your brain. And even though it's correct, it just feels wrong because you're not drawing what you're imagining. And I feel like that's like the hang up with these over here. Oops. Is no, I ruined the reveal. Is that I like completely drew them like that's a leaf, so I drew it like up when it could have been more interesting coming towards the camera or like going away from the camera. Instead, they're kind of like one to one dimensional with the viewer. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say. Oh, yeah, and I think just like, yeah, these values are, even though they're receding in space, I feel like they are way too competitive with the elements in the foreground. And this is how I would fix the layout now. I don't have the original file for this anymore, so I had to like paint over it. And I did this in like an hour or so, so it's like kind of a hack job, but I think it gives across the like level of depth that I was going for to begin, or that I wish that I went for to begin with, like a little bit more intrigue of the eye, a consistent tree line. Also, like I kind of omitted the competitive nature, and it's like so many small things, like so many small things, but like instantly, like now that I now that I didn't have to like animate, do FX animation, clean up the animation, give people notes, it's like, oh wow, you can really like knock out a layout and address all the problems with it when you kind of just like realize like what's like it is so literally it is so easy to see the forest or the trees before the forest. And I think that's like the most important part about drawing these like super maximalist layouts where it's like super small stuff, but like boom, knocking that volcano out. And I don't know if this is like, and I just like did this by myself and like how I would have fixed it. So I don't know if this would have been the best for like the character animation that was going here, but it definitely pluses the layout in terms of like giving it the distance I feel like it required, or giving it the depth from the viewer that it required. Um, these plants here, even though it's like I kind of just like shifted them around, like instead of it being flat to the camera, like how this one is, like this one has a little bit of intrigue. It like comes towards and has like its own cast shadow and stuff like that. Like strong things I feel in the front that weren't completely translated over. Um, Adjusting the tree line so that you consistently see the underneaths of all these trees. Like even though they're a variety of shapes and a variety of like relationships to the camera, they are consistent and stuff like that. So like very, very basic things that I feel like you learn in SQL or Environments 101 or Illustration 101, but like in the heat of the moment are so, so easy to forget, especially when you're working with so many things. You have to keep track of so, so, so many things. Like completely change the vibe. And I think that like you are always growing. I literally drew this layout in June, and what is it? September. It's almost the end of September, but and also completely different state of mind, and also a lot more free time. But like completely different, completely different. I did that thing. Just kidding. But I hope that you seeing how I put the things that I'm saying into practice like makes sense and can like massively alter the viewer's relationship and your relationship with the depth of a piece and stuff like that. And I still would like to push this further. Not I wouldn't like to because like it's not going to go in the film, but it's always really nice to like revisit your pieces with like a different frame of mind and to keep these things with you because again, what's it called? It's so hard, especially when you're a student, to apply things on the fly, and you are always going to wish that you did things different. This is just like not even related to like the presentation. This is just my experience as a student. Like you will always be learning all the time. You will forever be a student. There will never be a time in your life where you know everything, but it will be easier to hold on to and to apply the things you do learn eventually. And it just takes time. And I think that's like the main thing I wanted to show with this. But yeah, it looks. I think it looks a heck of a lot better. Oh yeah, I even added some like screen direction, like because it said there was like a lack of screen direction. But added some clouds. Even like, but I think in the film we were trying to spell all the clouds, so I didn't put any in there. But it just is like the little touches that like bring the central like togetherness of the end of the film. And yeah. And now that I've talked about painting and rendering, I'm going to talk a little bit about values, rendering, and tone. And this section will be low-key pretty brief because I wanted to talk more about observation and also leave the floor open for questions for specifics. But also because my process, it's like everyone's process is different. You might like the way that something looks, but not the way that how someone did it, or you'd be like, oh, that doesn't incorporate into my workflow. It's all about experimenting and seeing what works for you and stuff like that. And I'll talk more about that in my research segment. which is going to be also pretty brief, but this is just what works for me and things that I keep in mind because I'm pretty sure like all of you are not thinking about in like deliberate mechanical steps in how you are painting things. Like art is so inseparable from you as a person; it just comes naturally. You only really explain them when someone asks you. Um, so that's how I feel. But how do you get from he? How do I get here? Wait, I put that twice. Sorry, that was supposed to say something. I think it was supposed to say from sketch to whatever. How do we get here? How do we get here? That's what it says. But yeah, like building things up from a sketch to this, and I am the most destructive worker of all time. I feel like because I have such a predominantly traditional art background, I treat my digital art like it's traditional, so usually like 1 to 2 layers. Like this was like I think a 2 layer project. Well, because I think the CD case was on one layer and then the background was on the other. But like obviously if you're on like a pipeline, do respect like the file layouts. Like if you got a foreground, background, midground, if you need a layer for every leaf, listen to your production lead. Like do not put people through the torture of having to sort through your files. But if it's just personal work, like your workflow is your workflow. No one will ever have to look at your files unless they're paying you. Um yeah, but I literally have only 1 page for values because I don't do value passes. I think in color and I think in tones. So I only do value passes to like check up on the mood of something. I don't encourage you to do that if you think in values and if it works better for you, please do that. But like I've saved myself a lot of heartbreak and a lot of muddiness with like I use Clip Studio Paint, so I'm not sure what the alternative would be in like not the alternative. I don't know what the one-to-one phrasing would be for Photoshop, but if you go to like correction or what is it called? I think it's called correction. Oh no, it's layer. Yeah, when you go to like layer, new correction layer, make a gradient map, I'll just like throw like a black and white gradient map just to do it because even though the colors may look fine, there's so many things that like define the relationship that sometimes when you're picking colors you're not thinking of. And I like sometimes when I'm painting, I'll be like, why does this feel so muddy? Why does this feel so like this yellow is like yellowing, but this red is redding, but they're competing, and sometimes it just takes doing that. And it's so important, so important to because that helps you as a painter too, like what color relationships you are comfortable with, what you're working with. Even if you don't start with values, always check them. We have the technology, so do it. Um, Yeah, and then very, very basic things come closer to the camera, darker values, things further away from the camera, lighter value. But it also depends on your light source, because I've had some paintings where like the brightest elements are in the front, but that's usually a light source. But they're really, really good framing elements, especially when it comes to doing layouts. If I think, oops, let me click these things. Like here, like these things would be the darkest values in a layout versus the things in the back. But that makes sense. Yeah, same with this. Like these are the darkest things in this painting because they're closest to the camera and often just like cast more shadow. Also, they're just more important, so you need to see them in more detail. No, 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 no. And I definitely would do this painting differently. I think I did this like in the middle or like during the pitching season, so it was like super rush. But there's definitely some things I would change about it, like the last painting that we did. But just check your values because plants make such great framing tools. Same with what's it called, like buildings and all that kind of stuff. But because they're so organic, you can literally shape them however you want them to be, and it'd be so subtle because people's first instincts aren't to check background elements when they're watching something. It'll be like a did you know? Like, it's like an afterthought, but subconscious programming of images are just as powerful as active programming of images. Dope. And toning, I think, at least in my painting method, I don't use blending brushes. I'm stupid. I just don't like it when I can't control like the deliberate application of colors. But people are often like, oh my God, what brushes do you use? Like, what paint? Like, how do you paint? And it never feels like painting to me. I know the end product is a painting, but thinking about that, I think it makes it seem more complicated. End of the day, I use default pencil with like slight gapping, so there's like a streakiness to it. Like soft, round brushes are my friend. And I don't do any texturing. I like doing a lot of texturing by hand. It's so funny. I was like when I was scouting for my film, I was like, sorry guys, if you F's with Spider Verse, you're not gonna find that here. We got no rake brushes, no wiggle brush, no nothing. And there's nothing against that. I just love like manually building textures or like the soft organicness of like just a soft round brush. But that's how I get a lot of my colors is just toning, like taking your base color, whether it's like basically cell shading is how I would explain, at least in my process, is like having defined midtones, shadows, and highlights, but plussing them by wiggling, just like in at least in my workflow. Here I'll just pull up my I think my color wheels, but the method. When my values move, so do my hues. Like you can see, even though they're slight, and you can really push them depending on like the direction that you were going for in your painting. This is like a small snippet of plants that I was like, oh, these are kind of like obvious like differences in like temperature, but and hue. But I really like a soft brush. It's like from far away, these things look like way more complex than they actually are. But when you look up close, it's like super duper deliberate application of like subtle tones. And also you can like every once in a while I hit it with a gradient brush if I'm like really just like trying to get a color across. But really using your midtones or highlights to sculpt out your form is really important. So I think choosing color relationships, different color relationships for form is important. So like my highlights, I tend to bump them to the warmer side. Like you can see, like on my color wheel, I nudge it. But also, I think sliders work. I'm just like such a fan of the color wheel. I have so much fun like moving it around and spinning it. But if you want, what's it called? If you want to be more deliberate. Like sometimes when I'm doing like a painting in CMYK, I'll use the sliders because it's just like easier. But I really do like the organic flow of like kind of like picking colors by eye and stuff like that because I feel like it does add that like kind of alive texture. But obviously if your employer is like use these colors and use these colors only, do that. But in your own personal work, I feel like this really pluses an organic environment when it comes to like any type of painterliness rather than strictly moving your values up and down. What's it called? Personally, for me, if you can see where I'm tracing, like I notice that my workspace is in this triangle, or like sometimes I'll flip it this way if I'm doing like a really desaturated piece. But like I usually don't touch the edges unless like super necessary, and like the range of my values kind of like grows and shrinks these triangles. Like some like in a piece like this, my like triangle is like here. And if like as I desaturate it, it shrinks. But anytime my values move, so do my hue. So if I want like a warm shadow and like a cool highlight, you can do that. If you want a cool highlight and a warm shadow, that's the fun, I think, of environments and like painting in general. Like, don't be so literal. I think that was my big issue. Like when I started like digital art, I was like so literal. Like every green must be a green, like every blue must be a true blue. And I was like, why do my paintings look so ugly? Like, why do they look so bad? And I was like, oh, it's because there's like nuance. It all depends. Like, there are no true colors. Like everything is like reflecting off of everything else, and everything has its own kind of contained color story. So just don't be so literal. Like if something looks green, it's probably just really not even that green. It's green by juxtaposition. And especially when you're doing an environment, there is so much juxtaposition, just like play with it. But I think that's like my 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents on a painting. But I just wanted to bring this last part. I'm talking so much, but it's like about research. I know this presentation was really observation heavy because I feel like there's a lot of value in observational art. And I think because there is so much access to like other people's art that I feel like especially growing up for me, like when I had access to the internet, I was young and studying other young people's art. And that's cool. And I feel like I learned a lot about like, I don't know, Gravity Falls or something, but I didn't learn a lot about like how to draw environments or how to draw anatomy. Like I learned from other people's art who were probably like not even that much older than I am now, you know what I mean? So I think it's very important to research and research and research and research from your real life, from things that interest you. Like just be mindful of the things you like and why. I feel like it's really easy to watch an animated short or an animated pilot or your favorite uh just like anything, just like your favorite movie, and just be like, I liked that. I want to make something like that, but not really pay attention to why. Because I've been there before where I'm like, wow, I really like this short film. I want to make a short film like that. And then I hit a wall and I'm like, why can't I understand what's going on? But like really, really sitting down, like my favorite thing to do is watch something, search, like go through the credits, find every single artist, like their LinkedIn, their Instagram, their Tumblr, their portfolios, and save them. Like I have hordes of portfolios that I just like look at and save, and also like see where they're working, like who they're working with, because yeah, the what is it called, the not recruitment, but the way that people like the number one way, especially artists get jobs, is through like internal reference, and if I'm not saying you should go bother like your favorite artist, but like see what your favorite artist is up to and what they're doing and stuff like that and what their portfolio looks like and what things that you can do to enhance your own, because it is really important to not only expand your visual library but to fundamentally understand its components. There's like a difference between studying and copying and stuff like that, or just repeating things you have, but your own like artistic anima is really just like small parts of your existence, your experience, the things you like, putting that to yourself and then like reflecting that outwards. Like you are the prism of your own mind, and everything that comes into you is refracted outward. And I just think that's like the most beautiful part about art. Sorry, that's like so tangential, but you know. But here are my recommendations. You might have seen some of these, definitely a lot of these. This is much less about what's it called, like any type of painting. This is more about composition and storytelling. Those like black and white vignette little screen caps I had in my presentation are from Framed Ink. Super great read. You can find all of these. I think not the Masaaki Yuasa one on the Internet Archive, which is a great resource. You have so much information at your fingertips. You might as well spend like some of that free time looking at the fundamentals. Like, cause like I said, as cool as it is to like only like the things that other people are making, it is really, really cool to see where that information comes from, because 9 times out of your 10, your favorite artist has studied like the fundamentals like 10 times over. And the accessibility to art has grown so much that like it's really, really easy, or it's like not really easy. I feel like it's really hard to lose track of what makes people like so iconic is the fundamentals. But Framed Ink is a super duper good one, and I these are like none of these are painting recs, but making comics as well. Scott McCloud, making comics and understanding comics, both are really good. But I think making comics goes over more of environments as character and as storytelling elements. And even though that's like in a sequential format, whereas like animation, you are using the continuous motion of frames rather than individual vignettes to tell a story, I think it is really important to anthropomorphize the environments that you're in. And Masaaki Uesa's sketchbook for animation projects is for animation projects, but they're just so fun. I think taking environments are so daunting and they're so technical sometimes that you can lose track of like how fun they're supposed to be. And I feel like this is like a really good read, or even just like a lookbook. It's in Japanese, so I apologize if you find it and you're like, what does all this mean? But it is like a really insightful look into how fun environments can be and how much character they can really have, because they're so kinetic and shapely that it truly is a character within itself. But those are my recommendations. Again, you can find a lot of these on the Internet Archive, or if you want them physically, I think the SCAD library as well as like neighborhood comics might have some of these. But I think that was my last slide. Yeah, it was my last slide. But thank you for letting me talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I hope it was informative. I haven't done a talk like this in a minute. But thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And I think that's it for me. Any questions? Yeah. Let me. Oh.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions for Momo, I think we have everyone muted. How do you have anything that you'd like to ask?
Yeah.
We have questions here, if that's okay. Hello.
Yes, that's I'm right there
Okay.
amazingly fire.
Who wants to go first? Okay. I'm gonna go from the front to the back, if that's okay. Okay. I'm gonna pass. Please be careful with the phone. Sure.
Hello. Um, so how long have you been graduated for? And then my follow up is, what do you do now?
Sorry, that's such a funny question.
Sorry.
No, it's not a bad question. It just made me laugh. I graduated. Oh wait, sorry. I'm gonna turn it down because I can hear my own voice and it's like
This year.
jamming me. I graduated in June. Yeah, of this year. So like literally a couple months ago. And now I just work my day job and then I do art on the side. And I recently did a test for an animation studio, a pretty big one. So hopefully I hear back from them. But yeah, I've just been putting myself out there as a freelance animator, and only recently have I gotten like my first like job opportunity. So it's pretty really relatively new to me. But I think my biggest advice sorry, I can hear myself talking. My biggest advice as like an artist, like post graduating or even just now, is that like this is nothing to do with you, and this is literally the hardest time anyone in the world at all our age can find jobs. But like it's always good to look, but opportunity will come find you, like always.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw her. Okay, next one. Sorry. Hold on. Here you go.
Thank you. Hello. So I was wondering, what was the point in your life where you felt like it was the learning curve, I guess you could say, for like how you, I guess, cracked a code like to like how what's best for your workflow and like what gets the most, like what you get the most out of your work.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm gonna mute the Adler thing like while I talk so I don't hear myself. But if there is questions, like ping me. But I think kind of right when I got to college, because I didn't know that I was going to be an artist. Like I really, really wanted to be, but I was literally gonna go somewhere else to like wrestle and then get maybe like a business degree. But when I got here, I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't even know that you could do animation as a job. I thought like you can only be a painter. So I was like forcing myself to paint and like do all these like illustrative things that, and I was like ashamed that I had OCs. I was like so embarrassed that like I had characters. I was like, I'm crazy. I just make things up. Like, what kind of person does that? I'm supposed to be drawing like fruit and stuff like that. Um, but I think it was, what is it called? My first like real animation class, like what is it? What is it called? Like print animation principles, like 201 or something. Uh, and that was, but how does it say? That was a class where that was the first time I ever had to do a sketchbook like in 10 weeks. And that was, I think, hang on, let me pull up the pages. And that's where like these sketchbook pages were from. And that was just like, I just realized that there's so many like things that I can do and that I can like merge what I want to do with how I make my art, and that there was nothing standing in my way, and that I really really enjoyed like fine lining stuff. I think that's like just like being able to draw like almost every single day and like fill a sketchbook in 10 weeks was like really the turning point. Like just being by yourself, like kind of no distraction. I'm a very pragmatic person. If I draw like every day. I'm not saying you have to draw every day, but it's just like what I like to do. But being forced to fill a sketchbook in 10 weeks like really, really showed me that I know it works. I know it don't work, but doesn't work. Because there's plenty of pages in the sketchbook that are like butt ugly. Because I was like, let me try something new. And I was like, no. But Yeah, I think that was the turning point. Hopefully that answered your question. But just like drawing concentratedly and trial and error, seeing what I liked to do and seeing what I didn't like to do, but also like learning that there was so much out there. Because you might come to school to learn how to be a video game designer, but then fall in love with like rigging or fall in love with sound design. And it's really just like opening the what's it called? Really opening the variety of things that enter your life. Because if you are an artist and you only focus on like one type of art or like just art in general, you're significantly limiting the opportunities to find out what you truly, truly like to do. Okay, that's it for that answer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. I saw you. Is your hand? Hold on, I'm walking. Okay.
All right. So I'm asking for a friend. How would you go?
Did anyone else have any questions? I don't have questions.
Wait, we have a question.
Wait.
No, it's this one. Just
Oh,
go talk.
I see. Hello, hello.
I think. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah. Does no one have any more questions? In Adler.
can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear them. I think you might have them muted.
What is? Can't hear anything.
Claire, you have Chris muted? Bro. Ow. Cry. Okay, go.
All right. Okay, so I'm asking for a friend. How would you go about branding yourself, and how would you put yourself out there as a student right now?
They're not a student anymore.
Oh wait, as a student, like back then.
Oh, okay.
Like how do I explain? Like if I'm a student, how would I put myself out there and branding myself?
Oh, let me mute again. I think it's really important, especially now in this digital age, because I've been on the internet for like a long time. Not as like the person that I am now. I would just like casually post my art. I wasn't like Momopatchi. I was just me, and it still is me. But now that I'm like older and I have to like find a job, you definitely have to promote yourself in different ways. But as a student, I think like one, you should at least like monetarily like try not to let that like affect your art flow as much. But two, like always do only what you want to do. Like never, I wouldn't say never, like you can do what you want, but like at least for me, I found it really, really important to never make things that I didn't feel like completely serviced me. Well, like obviously when I'm on a production and I don't like something, because I've been on plenty of animation projects where like sometimes I didn't completely agree with the vision of the director, but it's their project and I am there to fulfill that for them. But everything that I made in my personal time was completely like something that I wanted to do, that I agreed with, that I felt like represented me or represented my interests, and just like really be mindful of the things that you truly actually like. Because I feel like when we have access to so many other people, especially through the internet, or like so much access to what other people are doing or what other people find interesting, it's really easy to get swept up in that, whether it's like a new movie or a new something, I don't know, like the I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. I feel so old sometimes. Ooh, I think it is like very important to never let that like push you aside. I feel like the strongest elements of my art were like clearly my homages to where I grew up or where I feel the most connected to. Like I'm from an island, so I feel that comes through a lot in my work, that I am obsessed with biology or subtropical environments, and that's just like my personal thing. And two, and like also just like general stuff. Like I'm literally speaking to you guys as like a me character. I love video games. I love the medium of storytelling through video games, and I think that's just like being able to really like sit down and identify what you like and what you are is like the easiest way to brand yourself, because it's so hard. I feel like, because I think, what is it, you take like digicom like your sophomore year. I remember being asked to make like a portfolio and a business card my sophomore year. I was like, bro, I don't even know who I am right now. Like, I was like, what do you mean like make a like pay for a website? Like I don't even know what my favorite color is like for sure right now. I'm going through so many changes. But like even though you do change and like how you act changes, like there are so fundamental core parts of you. And I think like branding yourself is really about like finding out like what you like and who you are. I know that sounds redundant, but I think your biggest tip is to, at least like in terms of social media, is to, I don't know, because I have social media and I use it, but I've never like I've never like done giveaways or like made like a super brand for yourself, but like just keep it consistent. I've never changed my profile picture and I never change my username. Just like try to keep it consistent like through everywhere you go. Like try to keep one username per website. Obviously your LinkedIn you're gonna have to change that. Just like, change your name. But like try to be the same person everywhere. It's like really sometimes it's like really hard to keep track of people, but like being distinct, I think is like the key. Be true to yourself. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great.
All right, thank you so much for answering that.
Okay, who's next? Okay, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, okay, here you go.
Okay. Hello?
Hey.
Oh, yay. First, I mean, I'm a huge fan of your work. And second, with with your coloring, how you how you were saying that like no like usually colors like that look green aren't usually green. Do you have like a method of how you tend to choose like the different colors for when there's like a main one? Like if you're like, oh, this isn't a red, I'm gonna go with this instead. Like, do you kind of have a method to get such like very bright and energetic colors?
Oh, that is a great question. And here, let me mute again. Like 9 times out of 10, if your color isn't the color that you're looking for, it's actually secretly gray. That's like that was like the one thing that I realized. I was like, oh my God, everything is actually secretly low-key kind of gray. Like if I were to, this is like a image from the thing, so I can't color pick it, but if I were to like color pick this like red by association, this dinosaur is red, but like all of its shading, it's like it would probably land somewhere here and stuff like that. And having like your base color be like these definitive true colors and then desaturating everything else around them like really really makes it pop. Because and I feel like that's why my work areas are kind of, wait, I don't know if you could see my cursor. You probably still can. Let me pull up my little Discordy thing. Oops. But like picking your value colors to be in this area and then supplementing like your midtones and your values by like kind of picking, like I know it's scary, like I remember when I first started digital art I would like only put like my colors like on the like on these edges, and when I look back at it, my God, scary. But like slowly like migrating from here and understanding the power of like midtones and neutral tones is so epically awesome and amazingly fire. Like these colors here are like super far from the edges, and like the further that you go and the more that you support your your brightest like most powerful values, I'm not values, hues and like colors with like these subtones, like the brighter things appear. I'm like trying to find like a better example. Like this green, I remember when I painted this, I was like, dang, like what was I on? Because like this green is so green, and I feel like I've never painted a green like that before, but it was everything that wasn't that green that was making it pop. Like these background fronds, or like the tree even next to it is like slightly desaturated. Like they still have the same tones, but I just chose the desaturated, slightly like inner green to be the, what's it called? The main focus of that. So just like through contrast and stuff like that. Like this, like this leaf right here, in the grand scheme of things, that's like your brain is like, oh yeah, next to the red, this looks green. But in isolation, that's just a gray. That's just like a warm gray with blue shadows. So like the warmth of the neutral tones versus the like contrasting with like the value of it really, really make those things pop. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, yeah, but the secret is everything is secretly gray.
Thank you so much. That's actually extremely helpful.
Is there anyone
Awesome, that's what I'm
else
here
who wants?
for.
Okay, this is the last one because we are already at 7 p.m. So anyone that is like not in Adler wants to ask a question too, please go ahead. But okay,
Oh, is it me?
no, it's on.
Oh, hello. So my question was, what would be your recommendation on like creative practices and specifically sketchbooking and observational drawing for freshmen and like getting into illustration and all that? I guess just what would be your recommendation on how you go about like observational drawing and such?
That is an awesome question. Um, This is kind of a pain in the butt now because I think post standardization of the sketchbooks, I don't know, you guys have to carry like the what, like the seven, like the 11 by 14 or something. Like my first sketchbook, like my freshman-ish sophomore year, was like I had Weber, and that was before Weber was a chair. He was just like, ah, you can do whatever, get whatever. I remember he like picked up my sketchbook because I'm so like particular. I think I only draw in like the 8 by 10s or something, or like not even that. I think I do smaller. I think it's like, yeah, it's pretty small. Like I can put it in my backpack. I carry a little tote bag. I carry a little thing. You would not. Also, when I came to SCAD, it was like still COVID, so you could not catch me dead with those canvas bags. Oh my god, not me. And he picked up my sketchbook and he's like, "Can you get a bigger one?" I looked at him, I told him, I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And he said, "Oh, okay, just draw whatever." And that says a lot about me. But my advice is to like always keep it on you. Here, actually, let me like pull up. Can I do that? Here, let me pull up my sketchbook from freshman year, because then I can show the examples for what I'm talking about. Here we go. Like this is my sketchbook from freshman year, but like this thing like was with me always and forever. Like when I was on the bike, I don't drive. I still don't drive. I don't have a car. Oh yes, it was like you can't even see it. But I would draw, and also now I think you are like mandatorily forced to. So like this advice would probably be only for your personal sketchbook. But for me, I have a list of everything that I want to draw. Like since my freshman year of high school, I wrote like a list that has hundreds of things on it. And anytime I'm ever like, oh, I have art block, no, I don't. I'm gonna go study. I remember I opened up my sketchbook and the first thing on there was crabs. I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna draw crabs. But also like these were from like my illustration, my like draw 200 classes. These were just like random people on the bus, like shoes, like stuff I saw in my class. It was back when you were allowed to draw your OCs in your sketchbook. Like I was just, it was always on me, and I was always like looking at things to draw, like picking things. Like I would pick, I was like, okay, I'm only gonna draw people's shoes when I'm on the bus today. Okay, I'm only gonna draw people's backpacks when I'm on the bus today. When I'm waiting for the bus, I'm going to draw like every single plant that I see. I'm going to draw my computer today, but also like the restraints and limits of like what you're allowing yourself to draw, but also like not just drawing what you see, but understanding why these things are what you see, and also understanding why you are getting them in your art. Because there's like many times where I'm like, why does this look bad? I don't understand why this looks bad. What's wrong with me? um, what's it called? Like cars. Like I was like, why can't I feel like I'm like, why can't I draw cars from memory? So I spent the entire day like drawing cars. And I still don't think I can draw cars super duper well, like off the dome, but at least like I understand the parts and mechanisms. I like started to respect them as three-dimensional objects rather than lines on a page. And it's just like about frequency and variety. And I think it's good low key that they kind of force you to draw like only hands and feet, but that can only take you so far. If you're doing 100 pages of only hands and feet at a certain point, especially in 10 weeks, like you are not getting what you need out of that. You are just drawing whatever. But oh yeah, this was like literally outside of Monty. You can tell from like the evil windows that don't let oxygen or light in there. But I would just like sit outside and wait for my bus, or like go out into the courtyard when my room was too scary. Just like always keep it on you. But when you're drawing, understand like you are not just like copying from life. You are learning something new. I think that's not like a conscious effort I made, but later when I wanted to be more focused and deliberate with that practice, that was something that I thought of, where I was like, okay, like I got really frustrated drawing this my shoe today. Why is that? And I was like, oh, it's because I don't understand that the perspective that I'm drawing, and that because it's in perspective that I'm not going to see those things and stuff. So mindful and consistent and obsessive practice is like the key to drawing in your sketchbook, especially as a freshman. And obviously, like the rules are changing now, and they probably don't let you do the variety of things, but like it's fun and stuff like that. I just wanted to use that as an example. Oh, I didn't realize that my thing got like smushed down. But
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no one has any questions, right? Okay, great. Everyone clap.
Yay! Thank you, Adler, for the questions. Should I answer the what's it called? The chat questions? Does the Adler people also want to hear those, or?
Yeah, we have. I think there's two people who said something. I can't find it again. Hang on. I know this was one of them. How do you deal with post-grad burnout? And then did you have to deal with any? And how do you get back on your horse, so to say?
Oh, I wouldn't say like burnout, like in the physical sense, because I don't think there's ever been a day in my life where I haven't been drawing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm being productive. I'm just drawing. Uh, like I remember like right after I graduated college, I was like, yes, Deltarune fan art, which isn't productive at all, didn't add to my portfolio. I was just like happy to draw. But like I did definitely notice like an aversion towards animation. Like animation did not come to me naturally, nor did like working on my short film and stuff like that. And I think it really, really does take a lot of like mental effort to come across. Ooh, thank you for pinging the questions. It does take a lot of mental effort to like get back on your horse. I think the burnout that I suffered from was more of a social one, just because I am not a social person and stuff like that, and like having people like rely on me and like constantly ask me questions, but also fear that like everyone hated me as like a leader was like what struggled. So I really, really like kind of like. And it's hard, especially when art is like so collaborative. I think that's like the one that I struggled with, but like really getting back in touch with what makes your career fun, because that's what I was burnt out, like the elements of art that were going to be my career, like animating, networking, collaborating. I was like, I just want to be by myself and I just want to draw. But the more that like since people like graduated, what is it called? Like since people have graduated, like everyone's working on their indie projects, or they're trying to like work on personal projects, and like I've been like helping out people here and there, and it's really reminding me that I was truly put on this earth to like hang out with people and draw and like make stuff move, and that's what brings me the most joy. And it took me doing that outside of a school environment, but aw, this drawing is so cute. Smile. Wait, let me saves it. Aw, I'm like petting it with my mouse. Heart save. Wait, sorry, you can see that. Um, what was I gonna say? Um, but yeah, I think that was my way to combat burnout. Because it's like I said before, I draw pretty much every day because it's the only thing that I really enjoy doing, or that I really find is like conducive. Like I play video games, but I can't spend like 16 hours playing video games. I can spend 16 hours drawing, but like I can't do that. And that's just like all personal preference. I'm just someone who is like very like work oriented, even when it's not like I could be working, like I could be drawing for like hours, but it's not like something that's going into my portfolio or that is like improving me. It's just like some like thing that I'm doing for fun. Like drawing is fun, and I think thankfully because of school and like my own personal determination, I was able to prevent like physical burnout. I think um one thing I would advise people is like physical well-being, because that's the one thing I struggled with. Like I still wanted to draw and I still could draw, but I had physically hurt myself drawing, and it wasn't like a wrist injury, it was like my back, and that's really, really important. So what I would recommend is like being super mindful of that, especially if you're going into like your capstone years, and there will be long stretches of time where you are not sleeping, where you are not eating, where you are not like paying attention to your body, is to like please, please, you only like that is like your one true possession is your body, and your body makes all your art. So if you want to give up all your art, like well, if you don't want to give up all your art, you have to take care of your body. And I think that's like post grad is that was something too where I had to physically recover and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that was my big like thing. And if you do struggle with like art block or like like drawing burnout, I can only recommend is like studying, because I feel like there has been like stretches of time where I do not make original things, where I do not draw my OCs, I do not draw layouts for projects that I'm on. I only study, or like I only uh yeah, like studying, like either whether it's like drawing, studying, or it's like studying film and taking notes and stuff like that. But yes. I think that's my only advice. Like make lists for yourself. Like I'm still chopping down the list that I have from like my freshman year of high school where like I was like, I want to learn how to draw this. It wasn't more like a list, it was more like a web. I would put like human anatomy and then I'd like web out, I'd be like arm anatomy, and then I'm like, okay, hand anatomy, like finger anatomy. Like I still don't feel like I have mastered those things, so I have not crossed them out from my list. And I feel like that's like the easiest way to be like, I don't know what to draw. I'm like, yes you do. Open up the Morphos art book and learn how to draw fat folds, learn how to draw muscles, learn how to draw clothing folds, learn how to draw all those things. And I think being information oriented is the easiest way to keep drawing all the time, always. Okay, is there any other like text, like chat questions? Sorry, I'm like talking so much. I just want to be as thorough and as helpful as possible.
Yeah, you're good. I think there was the one that was how do you decide when to have heavier, thicker black lines, when to use negative space?
Mm. Um, it really depends on like the volume that you want for your drawing because like all environments are different and your intentions with environments are different. Like an environment in like Amphibia. I'm trying to think of what do the kids like. Kids like Amphibia. Amphibian ended when I was in college. Oh my goodness. Versus like an environment in Scavenger's Reign look super duper different. Like the amount of density. Um, well, this is like specifically environments I'm like trying to think of. But if you're like talking about like character art and stuff like that, that might be a little different depending on like how you do that. But it's all about really, really making space for it because I'm trying to like I don't know if I put any of my line work in like this. It's mostly like paintings. But oh yeah, like you can see like a little bit of line work here, but it's more about like the occlusion thing where and especially for this production, I try to be pretty light on my rough lines because we don't have a line art phase. We paint over everything. So like if I were to line every single one of these like little plants, it would be like a completely unreadable drawing. But like getting your basic like shapes down, oops, getting your basic shapes down and your relationship. Like if you were to maintain your line art in a drawing, I'm trying to think of um a show that I like Mau Mau, the Mau Mau Warriors of the Heart or whatever. They have amazing backgrounds that are lined, and they keep fine lines through like everything. But I'm trying to think of another show that has line backgrounds. I didn't even watch TV. But yeah, it's more about like your relationship with the camera and also like your art direction because like for me I don't maintain my line art in any of my paintings. Like there's like slight suggestions of it, but there's no like clean line lining phase like black containing things. It's more just like notes of occlusions that help things keep it separate and stuff like that. I use more color to do the form, but like in the sketching phase I think it's really important to define like what's closer to the camera versus what's not. Also here like in like this study the intensity of the line art is where all the points of interest are, where like I feel where the most shapes are overlapping and I'm like and it helps me anchor. Wait, let me, oh my god, your head's so big, get your big head out the way, bro. There we go. Yeah, where it's like these points of interest like dictate where the thickness of the line art are. Like where this is four leaves overlapping, I that was like the heaviest I put it, or where it was like two stalks overlapping. That's a points of interest. And that's again, that's my process. That's where I feel like it helps me and it's like super subtle, and some people don't like that. They don't want to have occlusions in their work. They want fine lines throughout. But I think that's like one of the. It's just a habit of art style. I forget that like as an animator, you're supposed to fit into so many projects that you're supposed to have an art style. So when I just draw environments, I'm like, that's what everyone does, right? I'm like, no, that's just like one of the crutches of my art style is like I'm super into these little like triangle-y occlusions that help me distinguish depth and stuff like that. But yeah. But you could have a show like I don't know, like Panty and Stocking. I'm trying to think of some, I don't know. Well, their environments aren't like that, but for example, their characters have like super bold strokes, and they're always like poppy to the front, and stuff like that. And you can incorporate those into your layouts, those into your layouts, and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was the last question. Smiley face.
Yes. Okay. I think that wraps it up then. Oh. I don't know why there's an echo. Okay, is that better? Okay. Weird. That wraps it up. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Momo, for being here. And
Thanks for having me, Smiley face. Thank y'all.
And then to everyone who hasn't already, this is like another reminder. Is what's called again? Fill out the attendance so that you can say that you were here. So hamburger.
Oh, chicken sandwich, bro.
Oh, chicken. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys are released. Yes, thank you, Momo, for being our guest. This was very insightful. Yay!
Thank you. I love to talk about art, so thank you for people who are listening. I need to get better at giving like more like shorter answers, but I'm so passionate, and I hope you guys are as passionate about art forever for the rest of your lives, because it's really awesome to be able to share your experience, like your human experience with other people through images. And you are the only person in the world who can do that your way. So that's all I can say is a parting goodbye.